Guys, we need to have an open and honest conversation about Team Dubois. What is going on there? Who is in charge of Team Dubois? It looks like an absolute mess. Look, we can talk about the party. We can talk about the shenanigans that went on before the fight at Wembley, where Daniel Dubois' father said he wasn't going to let Daniel Dubois fight if the entourage was not allowed. We can talk about all of that. But I want to focus on the corner and the whole training situation. It looks like an absolute shambles over there, and they need to sort it out. If you guys would remember, Team Fury was heavily criticized after John Fury was in the corner shouting during the round 9 incident where Usyk absolutely pummeled Fury from pillar to post, and we saw the backlash that Team Fury got. So I don't see why it is not the same for Team Dubois, where the corner looks an absolute mess. Don Charles, what is he? Is Don Charles the main trainer? Is he the head of the team? Is he the man that Daniel Dubois listens to? Because I don't see it. Daniel Dubois, in many interviews, is giving props to his father. In many interviews, he's talking about how he thanks his father for getting him to this point. And he doesn't really mention Don Charles at all. Don Charles seems to be on a nationwide Daniel Dubois damage control campaign, where he's been everywhere in all interviews on TalkSport, and all Don Charles is doing is defending Daniel Dubois as if his life depends on it. Now, I know that Don Charles is in a compromised position because Don Charles needs to look after his money. Don Charles is a trainer. He's getting paid for being Daniel Dubois' trainer. So Don Charles needs to go along with certain things. But I can tell you that Don Charles knows in his heart that certain things that is going on around Daniel Dubois' team, that he does not appreciate it. Don Charles is just trying to save his money and trying to earn his money as it goes. But you could see that Don Charles is not the one that have the authority in that camp. And then you have Daniel Dubois' father. What is Daniel Dubois' father? What is his role? Is he a motivational speaker? What is he? Is he a party organizer? Is he someone that look after Daniel Dubois' finances? Is he the one that arranges the camp? Like, what is it? Because when Daniel Dubois is in the ring, all he does is look for his father. It is very strange. Daniel Dubois is 27. And when a 27-year-old Daniel Dubois is in the ring fighting and it gets tough, Daniel Dubois looks for his father. Don Charles is the main man in the ring administering the information. But Daniel Dubois is only taking information from his dad, who's sitting outside of the ring. So is it Don Charles that is in charge of the team, or is it Daniel Dubois' father that is in charge of the team? It is an absolute mess. They need to sort it out because Daniel Dubois cannot look for his father all the time. I think the reason why Daniel Dubois is having these lapses of concentration and the difficulties in overcoming some mental situations in the ring is because he's looking for his father. But his father is not going to be in the ring with him. When things get tough, when the pressure is on, Daniel Dubois' father is not there. So you can see many situations where Daniel Dubois is looking out the corner, looking to hear his father's voice. But sometimes when things get tough, as I said, he's nowhere to be found. And that's why you see Daniel Dubois easily gives up in fights, because his father is not in the ring to save him. And Don Charles is not being listened to. I think there's a real conflict between Daniel Dubois' father and Don Charles. And Don Charles definitely is not happy with the way things are going. But as I said, Don Charles needs to earn his money. He needs to get paid and therefore wants to go with the flow. Now, you also have Frank Warren, who sometimes get into Daniel Dubois' corner and start shouting out of the ring. And that is also very strange. So you've got Don Charles, you've got Daniel Dubois' father, and then you have Frank Warren, who sometimes also shouts. And it just seems as though they're treating Daniel Dubois as if he's a child. Like, Daniel Dubois needs to be able to take on information, and he needs to be able to apply that information in the ring. Who is he going to listen to? Too many voices in the corner, and I think that confuses him sometimes. Look, Daniel Dubois is a very good fighter. Daniel Dubois has a very good jab. I want to see Daniel Dubois back in the ring. Daniel Dubois can become a champion again. It's going to be a really tough journey to come back from the loss to Alexander Usyk, but he's 27. He can. But I think he needs to make changes in his team. He needs to make the right decisions for his team going forward, because it is really important. If he does not have the right team around him, I think it's going to be really difficult for him to come back. But for Daniel Dubois himself, I think it is time that Daniel Dubois ask himself serious questions. Who is Daniel Dubois fighting for? Is Daniel Dubois fighting for himself, or is Daniel Dubois fighting for his father? If Daniel Dubois is fighting for his father, then it's going to be really tough in the ring. Always. He's going to try and look for help from his father, who is outside of the ring, which is always going to be difficult. If Daniel Dubois is fighting for himself, then he has a leg to stand on. Then he can always know that he can call on himself and does not need his father to give him motivational speeches. So Dubois needs to look at himself, he needs to look at his training situation, he needs to look at his team, and he needs to make the right decision for himself if he's going to become a world champion again. Because right now, as I said in the previous video, every top heavyweight fighter will be looking at Daniel Dubois like his food. Everyone would know that Daniel Dubois has got weaknesses when it comes to the mental side of boxing, and they're going to play to that. They're going to use that as the advantage. So Daniel Dubois needs to have a team that is coherent. He needs to have a team that is on the same level, because Daniel Dubois' father cannot throw a party for him and Don Charles has no idea about this party, or Don Charles is not even at the party. They need to be one team and they need to work together. But right now, it looks like an absolute mess, and Frank Warren definitely needs to have a meeting and sort this out, because it does not look good on Daniel Dubois. And I want to see him back in the ring, because I think he is quite exciting sometimes. He hits hard, he's got a very good jab, he's got a physicality, and he's a good mix in the division. So look, let me know what you guys think about Daniel Dubois and his team. What is going on there? It looks like an absolute mess. Someone needs to sort it out. What do you think Daniel Dubois needs to do going forward in terms of his team? Who does he need to change? Does he need to get rid of his dad overall? Does he need to get rid of Don Charles? Does he need to bring someone in that would suit him better than Don Charles or his father? Does he need to take advice from somebody else? Get in the comment section and let me know what you think about Team Dubois and what they need to do going forward to make sure that Dubois is back and is firing on all cylinders. My name is Bright. This is the Bright Show Podcast Boxing. If you enjoy boxing content, then please don't forget, hit the like button, subscribe, and leave your comments in the section below. I'll see you guys on the next one.